The first journey was the journey upon which Salah became mandatory. It defines a Muslim. And the second journey was the journey which started the Islamic calendar. It defines the community of Islam. And each of those journeys, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose a companion for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the case of the Mi'raj, it was the angel Jibreel alayhi salam. And in the case of the Hijrah, it was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to the house of Abu Bakr to tell him that he was going to be taking the Hijrah, that he was going to make that incredible journey that would start the history of Islam. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had one word in response. As-Sahaba. Ya Rasulullah, make me your companion on this journey. When he arrived in Medina, or a little bit outside of Medina, the people of the city were waiting for him. All of the people who were in Medina came out of the city to wait for the Prophet ﷺ. With him was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Now, when the people saw Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ, they couldn't distinguish which one was the Prophet and which one was following the Prophet. They couldn't distinguish. And in fact, they made the mistake of thinking that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was actually the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all of them began rushing towards Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And they began shaking his hand and greeting him and congratulating him that he had arrived. And actually Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu accepted all that greeting, because he didn't want that the Prophet ﷺ be disturbed by all these people greeting him after such a difficult journey. One by one, the people greeted Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, assuming that he was the Prophet. He was so much a copy of the Prophet ﷺ externally. The way he looked, the way he handled himself, the way he walked, the way he greeted, that the people could not distinguish between these two men. Until all of a sudden, from behind the clouds, the sun arose. And the sun began shining down on the head of the Prophet ﷺ. And it's in the book of Imam Bukhari that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu took his shawl and placed it over the head of the Prophet ﷺ to shade him. And at that moment, the people realized who was the Prophet and who was the follower. Another occasion. Take this other occasion. On one instance, the Prophet ﷺ, he gathered his companions together and he said to them that we are in need of supplies for the next battle. And they began gathering the wealth among the Sahaba, and the Prophet ﷺ said to them, bring what you can. Each of my companions, despite the sacrifices that you have previously made, I challenge you now to bring what you can for the sake of the next battle. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu himself, in his own words, narrates that on this particular occasion I made a decision. And that decision was that I would outdo Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He had outdone me in so many deeds. And so I today decided that I would outdo him in this particular deed. And I decided that I would bring half of everything in my house and place it before the Prophet ﷺ. So he went to his home. He brought 50% of his wealth and put it at the feet of the Prophet ﷺ for that battle. All of a sudden from the corner came Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He came with every single thing that was in his house. Every single thing. 100% of what he owned, he brought and he placed before the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ turned to Abu Bakr and said, Ya Abu Bakr, what have you left behind for your family? He turned to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, I've left behind Allah and His Messenger. On that day, Umar radiallahu anhu said, I now knew I would never be able to outdo Abu Bakr. Imagine. A man of the status of Umar, the one who the Prophet ﷺ said, were there to be a prophet after me, it would be Umar radiallahu anhu. لَكَانَ عُمَرًا. And Umar radiallahu anhu is saying, on that day, I recognized that I would never be able to outdo Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. SubhanAllah. From as-sabiqun, he was from the forefront among the foremost of those who did good deeds. And look at the competition that he had. He wasn't the foremost amongst us. That's not difficult. He was the foremost among the Sahaba. SubhanAllah. Radiallahu anhu. وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا
وضاقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد، وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع